Good morning and welcome to this week's episode of Iconic Freedom, The Formula. Here we set a standard for accountability and responsibility, the ownership of your choices and your outcomes and everything that follows. Let each care for self and all will be cared for. So when I talk about the formula, we talk about that periodic chart that you see on the various websites that this is posted on, where you create those elements that come together and bring harmony to your life. And if one of those elements in your life is not working, then you extract it and you reevaluate it and, again, bring that harmony to your life. Because one of the clearest signs of inner stability is the decreasing desire to manage other people. That I say this week's episode is about losing the urge to control. Most people will say they want peace. They want harmony, but then they spend their days trying to control the weather. Trying to control other people's moods or their timeliness. Maybe their choices or their perceptions, maybe their growth or their reactions. And then they wonder why they feel exhausted all the time or frustrated. Trying to control another person is like trying to control the weather. You can prepare for it, you can respond to it, you can respect it, but you cannot command it. And the more you try, the more frustrated you become. I mean, let's be honest. Let's face some reality. Control rarely introduces itself as control. It comes dressed up as concern. It calls itself helping or guidance. Sometimes it calls itself love. It calls itself leadership. It might say, hey, I'm only trying to help, or I know what's best for them. They need someone to tell them. If I don't step in, who will? I just care more than they do. Maybe, sometimes, but often what's underneath is something else. And I say that something else is fear. Fear that they'll make a wrong choice and how that choice may impact you. Fear maybe that they'll fail. Lots of parents have that with their kids. Fear they'll embarrass you. Or fear that they'll leave. Relationships do that all the time. Fear that they'll suffer. Fear that maybe life will unfold in a way you cannot predict. And many people would rather control another person than face uncertainty within themselves. And that is the real cost. Because when you're consumed with managing other people, you are unavailable for managing yourself. When you are watching their lane, you drift in your own. And when you are obsessed with their choices, you neglect the accountability of yours. That's why so many people feel drained. They're spending, life force on territory they do not own. And there's a difference between influence and control. Influence offers perspective, and only when it's invited. Control demands this compliance, and if they don't, you create resentment within yourself. Influence will speak and let go, and control will grip and hold on for dear life. Influence will respect a person's choice, but control resents the freedom because they cannot be trusted to make the decision on their own. And that distinction really matters because healthy relationships dynamically influence one another naturally. But unhealthy relationships rely on control. Parents do this, and partners do this, and friends do this, and bosses do this, and your government does this. People do this with the best intentions sometimes, or so they say. People always do this with selfish motives because they're trying to control an outcome. So they may say that these are the best intentions, but we know from being on this podcast, from listening to this for the last 3.5 years, that all interest is self-interest. Everything you do is motivated for what you want as an outcome. But either way, I say that the result is often the same: resentment, resistance, distance. Because the human spirit, humanity recognizes pressure, even when it cannot yet name it. And now here's where I say that people will feel resistance, because real freedom includes letting people choose, quote unquote, poorly. Real love allows and includes consequences for a person to experience. I see you as you are. I love you as you are. Do nothing to change unless it's what you want for yourself and no one else. And real maturity includes watching someone ignore what you might think is good advice and surviving your own discomfort when you watch it unfold. And that's hard for many people, because some identities are built around being needed. If they are not fixing someone, well, then who are they? My mother was like that. If they're not rescuing someone, what is their purpose? If they're not correcting someone, what value do they bring? I mean, that's worth examining, because helping can become addiction. Rescuing can become ego. Correction becomes superiority. And superiority, did I say that word right? And control becomes identity. But compassion without interference is possible. You can care deeply without inserting yourself, and you can offer wisdom without insisting that it be followed. You can love someone without managing their life, and you can support someone without carrying their outcomes. You can be available without becoming responsible. You can be available without becoming responsible. This is emotional maturity. It requires trust in yourself that no matter their outcomes, you'll figure it out. Because the urge to control others, I say, often fades when trust in self increases. The more I trust myself to respond to any given situation, the less control I need for what other people do. You trust your ability to respond. You trust that discomfort won't, destroy you. You won't fall apart from it. You trust that someone's poor choices do not have to become your collapse. And you trust that life can move in ways you did not script. And when trust grows in self, that grip that you feel you have will soften. That grip is a scam on yourself, just so you know. It's a delusion, because you don't have it. But you will stop chasing people, and you stop correcting everything, and you stop rehearsing how to get them to understand. I always love that one. I was trying to get them to understand. No, not your job. You stop manipulating by your tone or your timing or image or language and the pressure to create a desired outcome, because you feel simpler, easier, freer, cleaner, much more calm. And this does not mean you become passive. It does not mean tolerating something from another that you would not tolerate. It does not mean allowing chaos in your life. Boundaries are not control. They are self-governance. The lines are there for you, not them. Control says you must change. The boundary says, I don't want to watch your self-destruction. I cannot and will not participate in it. You can do whatever you want over there. And that difference, I think, is everything. I think one attempts to govern and the other governs self. One attempts to govern another and the other governs self. And self-government is freedom. It's that sovereignty that you seek. It's that ultimate freedom. It's that letting each care for self so all are cared for. So if there's someone in your life right now you're trying to control, and you know that you are, pause. Ask yourself honestly, am I trying to help, image building, or am I trying to relieve my own anxiety, avoiding responsibility? Am I offering truth? Was I asked and invited to the conversation, or demanding comfort so I can avoid responsibility? Am I supporting growth or resisting their right to choose? Because many people do not suffer from others being free. They suffer from their inability to control it and tolerate it. Don't go where you're not invited. You don't control the storm, but you do control whether you stand in it, walk through it, or step away. That's your lane. That's your agency. That's your responsibility. And peace often begins the moment you stop confusing control with care. Let each care for self, and all will be cared for. Okay, hit that like button if you would. Share it with your family and friends. You never know how it might support them in their endeavor. All the fun links are below, and if you're inclined, feel free to subscribe on Buzzsprout. I am on X and Truth Social, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. The link to my newest book, The Christmas Cookie, Stories from the Counter, is listed below. I'd be grateful and honored if you chose to pick up a copy. It's a collection of heartwarming stories that I quietly say unfold the very principles that we talk about here each week. And until next time, stay sharp, stay sovereign, and as always, remember, let each care for self, and all will be cared for. Make it a great week.